Hello, this is Craig Wescoe recording for TCGplayer.com, and today we're going to be playing Mono White Servos in Standard. So this deck really kind of takes off because of a couple of new additions from the new set, most notably Benalish Marshal. So Benalish Marshal basically acts as an improved anthem effect in the deck. So before we had Master Trinketeer, which is good, it makes your servos bigger. And then we have Metallic Mimic, which if we play this on turn 2, then all the servos we produce in the game get a bonus. And then we also had Angel of Invention. So another sort of 5 mana, kind of mana intensive, but it's sort of the best anthem, I guess, once you have it down because you make servos and your servos get anthemed and you have this flyer. So it's really sweet in the deck if we can get the 5 mana, which is why we play 25 lands. But then the next best anthem effect was Chief of the Foundry, which wasn't really that good. It was okay. Like it did pump your servos and stuff, but the Benalish Marshal is just way better because not only does it pump your servos, but it also pumps like your Toolcraft Exemplar, it pumps your Master Trinketeer, it pumps your Angel, and it's just like it does sort of everything that you want, and it's bigger. It's a 3/3 instead of a 2/3. So it's really cool, makes the deck considerably better. One of the cards it works extremely well with is Sram's Expertise. So Sram's Expertise, you make 3 1/1s, and then you get to play a card with mana cost 3 or less for free when you cast this card. So you put a Benalish Marshal into play, and then suddenly your 3 servo tokens are 2/2s. So you got, 9 power for 4 mana, which is pretty sweet. And then if you have a Metallic Mimic on the battlefield, naming Servo, then they're actually coming in as 3/3s. So you get 3/3 servos and Benalish Marshal. So you get 12 power with the creatures for 4 mana, which is pretty sick. Another card we got, which I'm just kind of trying out, it doesn't fit super well into the deck, but I feel like one Karn is a good card to try out here. The -2 ability, making a colorless construct, is pretty cool in this deck because the servos are all artifacts. So we're making a bunch of artifact creatures, and then just Karn being able to make a pair of artifact creatures with a neat little size to it is pretty cool. And it also gives us some ability to refill, so we can do the plus ability, then the minus ability to draw cards. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if Karn will end up in the deck, but I wanted to try it out, so we're playing 1. And then aside from the cards that produce servos and pump servos and do all that kind of number, I also have some removal spells. So I have a Baffling End, I have a couple of Thopter Arrests, and I have a couple of Cast Outs. Just kind of as, we need some removal spells in order to compete with what the opponent's doing, so we just have those in there. Kind of splitting up the mana cost, so we have some 4s, some 3s, and a 2. I also have a Heart of Kiran, which is conveniently very strong with Benalish Marshal. So you go turn 2 Heart, turn 3 Marshal, use the Marshal to crew the Heart and attack for 5, since the Heart gets the bonus from the Marshal. So that's pretty sweet. It's possible that we're supposed to have more than 1 Heart of Kiran in the deck. You can also crew it with Karn by removing a loyalty. Or, you cast the Sram's Expertise, and even if you don't have a card to put onto the battlefield, just the 3 servos, even without any bonus, can pump the Heart of Kiran. So the Heart, there are actually quite a few ways to crew it. Master also crews it. Doesn't give it a bonus, but it does crew it by itself. So yeah, we can crew Heart pretty easily. It's possible we're supposed to play 2 or even more than that, maybe even 3 or 4. Really good follow-up to turn 2 Toolcraft Exemplar, but really we don't want to get too far away from our plan. Our plan is to play servos and pump the servos. And speaking of which, we need 25 lands in order to be able to cast our 4 Angel of Inventions. So we have Chef A Dune, which is perfect. It allows us to play the extra lands to cast the Angel on time, and it also pumps all our creatures. And since we're a go-wide servo deck, this card fits really nicely into the deck. And we don't have any colorless lands because we want to be able to cast Benalish Marshal on turn 3 and triple white's pretty intensive. So Chef A Dune being able to produce white is pretty sweet for that. Then just to go over the sideboard real quick, 30 of the consoles, mono red, great card against them. Fragmentize, sometimes you just need to kill an artifact or enchantment. Some more baffling ends against the decks that have a bunch of good targets for those. We'll usually side out probably some of the heavier mana cost removal spells for those in the matchups where we want those. Then we have Getting into the Trials. It's another card we can put into play off of Sram's expertise and can really do some nice work. Gideons Intervention. So we're kind of soft to, what is it, gain 7 life again, the second sun. So Gideon's Intervention can name Fumigate, it can name Approach to the Second Sun itself, it can name, we're probably not going to name the, what's it called, the exile all your creatures, basically path to exile all your attackers, because if they want to, path to exile all our attackers, well, okay, cool, we're attacking with like 4 servo tokens, and then that just gives us a ton of mana, and we can do stuff with that mana, like just start rebuilding servos by activating Trinketeer multiple times in a turn. So I don't know that we're going to name that card, but we can depending on the situation. Scavenging Ground, basically against the Godfarer's Gift deck. It's possible we're supposed to play one of the other artifact hate, or not artifact, graveyard hate spells. There's a colorless 1 for 1 mana. There's a 2 mana white 1 enchantment. So it's possible we're supposed to play one of those, but I'm going to play Scavenging Grounds. And then we have another Heart of Kiran on the board because in matchups like control decks, mid-range decks, decks that aren't pressuring us and putting us on the back foot, we do want another copy of this, maybe more than one, but we'll play it as is. So some other directions for this deck that we could go splashing red or black pretty easily because the dual lands for the enemy colors are better than the allied colors in standard right now. So splashing red for something like a Braid is an option. Splashing black for like Scrap Heap Scrounger, some duress effects, and especially in the sideboard, that could be welcomed. But right now we're going to stick with mono white and see how this works.